That blaster's on full.
What's up guys, Gripe here with another review, and today we're going to check out the Marvel Legends Mockingbird figure, and this is part of the Red Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave. And as always, we'll start off by checking out the packaging. In the top left, you've got the Build-A-Figure logo. Underneath that, you've got the Legends series logo. Below that, you've got a nice big window where you can see the figure, the accessories, as well as the Build-A-Figure parts. Below that, you've got the Wave logo, and that's Captain America, and underneath that, it says Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that is this character, Mockingbird, as well as Agent Sharon Carter. And on the side of the box, you've got a picture of Agent Sharon Carter. And on the back, you've got a nice big picture of the two Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. figures, as well as a little write-up in the top right corner. And on the bottom, you've got a picture of all the figures in the wave, as well as the Build-A-Figure. And on the other side of the box, you have a picture of Mockingbird. And on the top of the box, you've got the Cap S.H.I.E.L.D. logo. And on the bottom, you've got all the legal jargon. So now crack the box open and check out the accessories first. And she does come with these two batons, and they are just gray plastic. There is a little bit of marbling on them. And they also are fairly warped, which you can fix with a hairdryer. And they do plug together. There's a peg on one and a hole in the other, and it does make a staff. This figure also comes with some Build-A-Figure pieces. You get the nice large chest here for Red Onslaught. And you also get two shoulder pads, and those plug right into the chest, and I'll show you those more when I go over the Build-A-Figure. So now we'll go over the sculpt and paint on the figure itself, and overall she is a pretty good figure, but there are some really glaring oddities on this, and I'll show you those. One of the main is the sunglasses on her. They really make her look very googly-eyed, and they're not very well done. They're kind of lumpy, and the paint isn't applied really well on the frames. You can see there's some missing there, and it's really thin on the bottom. And they really just make her look super googly-eyed, and it's a little unfortunate. She does have very stiff plastic hair, which does kind of get in the way in some of the articulation, but it is sculpted fairly nicely. I do like the actual sculpt on it. I do think the rest of the face came out pretty good. The lips came out really good. The facial features are sculpted fairly well. She does have a bit of a squarish face, but it's not too bad. And the paint on this chest area really isn't that good either. You can see they got some of the white paint from the shirt onto the actual skin there. You can see it over here. It's a little bad on that side. It's not as bad on the other side. They also got some of the flesh tones on the collars of the jacket. I don't know how well you can see it here, but it is right in that area. It's also on this side as well. You can see it kind of creeping up there. This button looks a little funky. The rest of them are fairly well. That top one is really good. Some of these are just a little off size-wise, but for the most part, the sculpt is pretty good. There's some nice wrinkles around the buttons and everything. They also got a little bit of white paint here on the side of the figure. And none of the lines are very crisp on this figure where the white meets the black. It's not so bad on the back here. You can see here on the leg, it really looks very fuzzy on the line. It's quite bad on this side, not as bad on this side, but still not nearly as good as it could have been. The belt is fairly well sculpted. You can see the black paint on the button is a little off, but other than that, not too bad. And again, the lines on the legs here are just fuzzy and really not that crisp. They're not nearly as crisp as they could be. The knee pads actually look pretty cool. I do like the sculpt on the knee pads as well as the lower legs. I think the sculpt on those is pretty good. You have some nice buckles on the side there. The straps all look really good. In general, it's probably one of the better parts of the sculpt. It just has a lot of good detail and really not too many issues. Some nice pits on the armor there. The feet are fairly plain. There's a little bit of treading going around the edges as well as some peg holes, but really not a whole lot to the actual bottom of the feet. I would like to quickly point out that you can take her glasses off and it does improve the look of her face. Her eyes don't look nearly as googly, but they are still a bit far apart. But you can see the paint on them is actually pretty good. So now check out the articulation on the figure. And I have to say she is the least articulated figure I've reviewed so far in this wave. And it is a bit on the disappointing side. And her hair really messes up her head articulation. You can see you can only have her head move up and down about that far because of the hair in the front and the back. And that is really disappointing. Same thing with moving side to side. You really don't have a lot of range. The hair is so stiff that it's tough to get it past the shoulders, and it really limits her range of motion. The shoulders are actually pretty good. You can get the arms up a decent amount, as you can see, a little bit higher than some of the other figures in this wave. You do have full rotation at the shoulder as well. She has single jointed elbows, which is disappointing and reminds me of the disappointing Black Series elbows. You can rotate at the elbow though, so it's not as bad. Does have typical hinge and swivel wrists. You can get that all the way around, and you can hinge them decent amount in either direction, about that far down and that far up. So it does have some decent movement on the wrist. The diaphragm is a ball joint instead of the usual hinge joint you get with the Marvel Legends, so you do have a good amount of back and forward as well as side to side, which is nice, and you do have full rotation there as well. The hips do go out a decent amount. As you can see, you can get a pretty good split. You also have a 90-degree kick forward, but you have practically zero kick back. You do have an upper thigh cut, although this one was actually completely stuck and I had to put a hairdryer to it, and the other one's got a big gap on it. It does have double jointed knees, and you can get a really good bend on that. You're getting well over 90 degrees. Unfortunately, there is no boot cut though. The ankles extend a decent amount. You can get those almost straight, and they only go up about that far. And there is no rotation anywhere on the lower leg, unfortunately, but it does have a really good rocker pivot on the ankles. So now check out the size and scale of the figure, and she stands at 6 1/8 inches tall. And here she is next to the Captain America figure from this wave on the right and the Infinite Series Mark 43 on the left. And as you can see, she is smaller than both of these figures, although she's still probably a little bit taller than she should be if this was a true 1/12 scale. So overall, this is my least favorite figure from the wave so far. The sculpt on it is actually not bad at all. The paint app on it is fairly sloppy and not very well done. The glasses are absolutely horrendous. I think they don't look good in either sculpt or paint. The articulation is also rather limited, especially in the head, which is disappointing. So really, unless you're a Mockingbird fan or you want to finish this Build-A-Figure, it's really not worth the $20. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. Subscribe for more.